welcome to Startup Out of the Box, a regular podcast about startups with Marco Silva and Vitor Domingos.
On this episode, we're going to talk about two things: some project management lessons that we're going to discuss with you guys, but also we're going to talk about OKRs, or objective key results, in this remote first world. So the first topic is going to be, as I said, about project management lessons. Marco, you want to talk about this? Do you want to introduce the subject?
Yeah, so talking about the product management or the product manager role in a startup. So this role usually comes in startups that are a bit bigger in size, a bit older, but this position usually in the beginning falls on top of the CEO. So when your startup is starting quite small, you're talking about your pre-seed or seed round before Series A, you're still trying to find product market fit. Usually the CEO is your product manager. He's the one that knows where the product is going, what's the product we want to build, who are the clients, who are the stakeholders. So he's trying to guide the company, guide the employees that he's trying to hire also on this vision.
Mm-hmm.
But once this company starts growing, this is a role that's really important in the organization, and that the CEOs should look for someone else to take over. So because like the product manager has the responsibility of building what the company's vision is, what are the business requirements, and he does that bridge between the customer, the engineering team, the business representatives, the stakeholders, investors, and he also has to think about all the skills that are needed, kind of like a cross-functional teams that are needed to deliver this product to the world and all the way to its launch. So you think about this, there's a lot of stuff that's happening, and when you're the CEO of a startup, you already have a lot of stuff on your plate. You have everything on your plate. So of course, once you're a team of 3 or 4, of course this has to fall on the CEO, but it's something important that the CEO, like we already talked about, CEOs need to start delegating this to someone else. So from sales, from marketing, and the product is also one of those things that the CEO needs to delegate to someone else that he trusts, that knows how to deliver and build a product.
Yeah,
because it might be tempting for a CEO to keep this because it's at the end it's his thing, it's his product, it's his baby. But there are people out there that have experience in how to build this in the real world, in how to understand if this is the right thing we are building, how to measure that, and how to get everyone involved, aligned in that vision and team.
Yeah, I do believe that that's the kind of the best strategy. The point here is, when should the CEOs do this in that kind of their journey? If they do this too early, then they might miss some of the goals of the product that they want to build, or the product is not built as they expected, as they wanted it to be built. And I've seen this for some startups. People sometimes have this kind of interesting idea, they do some kind of MVP, they pitch that to a bunch of investors, and then they got a lot of money, and then probably the first thing that they're going to do is, I'm going to hire someone to sell this, I'm going to hire my technical co-founder or a CTO or a head of engineering or whatever, and then I'm going to hire someone to actually do the product management for me. And I think that might be a bit still too early to do that. But as you also mentioned, the current CEO has a lot of responsibilities in his plate. So having this delegation to someone else that is experienced on building products, and the thing is not just on how to build a product, how to tackle some kind of user needs, but also how to talk to the engineering team, right? Because you need also someone to understand the technical aspects of building something that can make the bridge between the technical team and the users at the end. Because the product manager, in my opinion, or the product owner, is there to be the voice and the eyes and the hands of the consumer, of the user that you're going to have. So he's always towards that direction, not actually probably focus on some commercial goals that the company has. So I think that it needs to be there on the right time, but I do believe that I do agree with you that there's this kind of need to have a product owner and product manager within the company. Now, so this is kind of the first lesson that probably CEOs and companies need to learn when they do this kind of delegation. probably after sales or after the technical part, but also then it goes the product management. But on the the product management side, do you have any lessons that you want to share? How do you see, because you are kind of more so in the technical side, how do you see that kind of relationship with product management? What is your main lesson or main tip you would give to startups that need to hire a product manager, but also that person needs to work with the technical team?
So usually the product manager doesn't need to be a technical person. However, it is something that's, I think, more important nowadays, that person understands the technical background or has some technical knowledge. So it doesn't need to be a software engineer, but it needs to understand what is happening behind the scenes. Because nowadays products are getting more and more complex, and it's important to understand how they are being built, to understand what's possible, what are the limitations out there. A good product manager will also have a good rapport to talking, and he understands the different speeches that he needs to have while speaking to engineering or speaking to investors or speaking to the clients. They will have a different way to talk to each one of them. So you need to understand how to separate that speech, the ideas, the concepts, because he will understand the why the product exists. And then, of course, we're talking about the management side. He has to understand how to get that product outside in the world. So he has to understand about timelines. He has to understand about the limitations in the teams, or what is happening with sales, with marketing. So he has to be able to juggle all of that notion of what is affecting his product, in the full scope. So it's a difficult task, mainly because it is a people's task. And when you're talking about people and dealing with people, that's always the most difficult
always complicated part. Yes, it is. It's not about technology, it's always about people.
Yeah, the technical part is easy. In most startups, the problem is really when people get involved.
Exactly. Right. And that's kind of the first topic that we had for today, kind of product management lessons that we could give to our audience that is watching and listening to us on podcast and also on video. On the second topic, I want to bring this kind of the OKR metric. We already discussed this in some sort of previous episodes, kind of briefly about OKRs versus KPIs. But I do believe that OKRs, so for people that don't know what OKRs is, it's objective key results or objectives key results. So usually you define a company kind of wide objective, and then you fill it with, I don't know, between 3 and 5 key results that you need to hit. And those results are not just for the technical teams, but pretty much for everyone to tackle that objective. So it's not just one objective per person or one objective per team, but actually it's company-wide objectives, and then you have individual or team contribution on the key results. And then you build this from the C level, but then you bring it along with the engineering teams, with the product teams, with the sales teams. Everyone needs to pitch in. And the thing is, the key results are often put by the teams that need to hit those objectives. So on the C level, you define an objective, then you have the individual and teams pitching in their key results so that they think that they need to have to achieve that objective. So this brings, in my opinion, some more transparency to the whole to the goals within the company, because everyone knows what kind of objective they are trying to hit, which is aligned with the business, and then they know their individual key results that they need to provide to hit those objectives. And then as a transparency tool for the company, everyone knows where we are, how to measure progress, how to measure actually these guys achieving these goals. So OKRs, and as I said, we did this comparison a few episodes back about OKRs versus KPIs. But right now OKRs, because we are working in a remote first world, right? Everyone is working from home. No one is using the office, or we are going to the office less often. So which means that people need to be measured. We need to measure productivity because people are at home. And I think that if you're running a startup and you're doing micromanagement, then stop. You're doing it all wrong. It's not going to work. But if you're going to go with KPIs or other kind of metrics, that might be an issue. So I think that OKRs, if well developed and well explained to everyone, and it's not just a transparency tool, but also a good way to measure productivity in this kind of remote first world. Do you agree with that? Do you think that OKRs is kind of the best tool right now for people to use in this kind of new world?
I think the concept around OKRs, yes, what OKRs try to build, what try to bring you and your team, I think it's important for people to understand. But also, first of all, understand it's a framework. You don't have to use everything that there is about OKRs. You have to understand your environment, your team, how you work, and extract what makes sense out of that framework for your team. I've seen already places that try to implement OKRs, kind of just follow the rule of book, kind of like the Google book as a Bible, and they after a couple of months it was too much for them and they dropped it, because that's something like they tried to implement the entire framework and not understand what worked for them. So that's kind of like an important thing to start with. But yeah, the big concept is shared objectives with the teams. The high-level objectives are the objectives per team, and then individually on the more technical side or the implementation side, the teams will know, okay, what exactly do we need to do in concrete to achieve these objectives? Because that's the level now. The business will give you like these are the objectives we want to achieve. These are like the key results we would like to see. For example, 50. We need to have a 50% increase on signups, or the error rate has to be below X amount. So it's not that you can measure. It's not at a high level or hypothetical number that doesn't have a measurement. It's something that you can see, like if it goes through this threshold, your OKRs are not working, so you need to decrease that. And from there, the teams can think about, okay, what exactly do we need to do and to get there?
Exactly.
In this remote world, it is a good way of working because teams are mostly working in an asynchronous way.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to understand, okay, what is my team's objective? I know this is what we are working on this week, but I understand like the big picture, and I can plan what I need to do next, or think about things that the team can do to get to this objective in an asynchronous way, without having to talk then to a superior, to then need to talk to another manager, that then needs to talk to a VP to approve that decision. Like nowadays, like you mentioned, micromanagement doesn't work.
Nope.
Especially in a world nowadays that people can jump easily between companies, because if most companies are remote, then we don't have that limitation of, okay, I need to go to an office because I live in this area, so I need to find companies in my area because I don't want to travel, like I don't want to commute for an hour or 2 hours. So it's painful to move companies nowadays as well. I'm already working from home. I don't like this environment, this micromanagement, or this pressure, or what's happening. So I'm going to look for a company that provides me a different environment.
Exactly. And it's not. It's not only just that. It's because I think that we both are living we're both working in kind of remotely for the past few years. We already know how to experience that, even on managing teams. But also, I think that startups feel it's also the OKRs is not just a metric that the C-level, the stakeholders or whatever just put there to measure the productivity, but it should be incorporated within the company culture. Because if you're going to go on kind of micromanaging or using any kind of other metric, then you kind of miss the whole objective of the remote kind of first world thing, because you just said you're working in a kind of a more asynchronous way, so you're not actually there to deliver a specific thing. Well, unless you do support, that's a different, and you need to pick up on tickets. But if you actually need to deliver something and you need to build something, right now everyone, because they're working from home, they can do it at their best time. Some people, they have responsibilities towards family, kids, and other stuff, and they prefer to do that outside probably of business hours because they're more quiet, because they are more focused then. So it's just a matter of, if you define the objective for everyone, then people can understand that and they can actually pitch in and deliver the best results they can have to achieve those objectives. I think that if people have this, embrace this into their company culture, it could be even more pleasant and more attractive for people to work in remote first companies.
Yeah.
Good.
I agree with you. And one important thing is, like, those metrics need to be, like we mentioned already, like they need to be focused on the product. They need to be focused in value that you are delivering, that the company is delivering. And please don't put metrics as stuff like number of lines coded, number of PDFs generated for marketing, number of commits or tickets resolved. Those are not real metrics, and those can be played and tricked quite easily. Like any engineer can figure out a way to make his ticket number look amazing, and in reality his productivity is one of the lowest in the company. So use metrics that look at the value provided to the company and to the client, and not vanity stuff like I said, like number of lines of code done or things like that.
Exactly. And then check them regularly, transmit that to the company, and adapt as long as you need. Perfect. Well, that's pretty much it for today's episode. We're back again on this kind of regular thing. I hope we've been kind of 1 week off, but we're going to return with this episode again, probably by the end of this week to prepare for the next week. So thank you everyone for watching us, and see you next time. Thank you.